All right, what's up? I'm back again with another one. Your faithful gatekeeper to the culture. I got to do what I got to do. All right, so as you can tell by the title, it's up rocking and rocking. Now, this became a subject because Cologne, for at least 6 or 7 months, has been promoting this idea that Puerto Ricans in '69 came up with the rock dance. And he went as far as to suggest that they are the precursors to breakdancing or to breaking or to b-boy culture. Now, I find it ironic that he would say that because for the longest period of time, he would say people like Sasa and Trixie are not b-boys. Matter of fact, he would even go as far as to say they're not even the precursors. But because he found out, erroneously, I might add, that these Puerto Rican rockers were doing their thing in '69, he decided to call them the precursors. Ironically, they don't go to the floor. But if you know anything about Cologne, when he talks about b-boy culture or b-boying, he talks about floor work, staying on the floor, going to the floor. Now, I find it ironic when we talk about the brothers who were going to the floor in the 30s and 40s and 60s, he won't give credit to those guys. And it's obvious as to why. They're black. But as long as they're Puerto Rican, he's going to give credit to the Puerto Rican. In the very same way that track two, in a video that he did, or at least an audio from a video he did, where he said, when he was talking about Sasa, talking about him as if he thought he was Puerto Rican, praising Sasa as being some kind of, pioneer of b-boying. And he only did that because he thought he was Puerto Rican. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a group of people who are going to praise Puerto Rican contributions and deny black contributions. And so this video is going to deal with this issue of rocking and where it comes from. I contend that it comes from black culture. I'm sure Cologne disagrees, but let me ask you this question, those who believe as Cologne does. If it comes from black culture, why is it when every time you see these Puerto Rican rockers dancing, they're dancing to foundational black music? If this was something coming from the Puerto Rican community, they would be dancing to a Latin rhythm. But for some reason, they chose foundational Black American music to express themselves. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to what I believe is the source of Cologne's confusion, and we're going to clear some things up. All right. Let me say for the record, I'm not sure if this is where the particular article he got it from is something I found online called Vice. But these are the words from the article, and I'm going to read a little bit of it. This is according to what supposedly Charlie Rock said about the rocking pioneers. Some say hip hop begins with the DJs, but actually hip hop culture itself begins with the b-boy. We're the X Factor, say first generation b-boy Charlie Rock, aka Anthony Horn. He traces breaking back to the 60s when Latinos across New York started rocking or up rocking, setting a mambo inspired moves to the latest rock and soul hits. Rocking was inspired by battle dances. Let me see if I can move this up. Inspired by battle dances and performed like a showdown. Those who honed in on a more aggressive component called these elaborate dances disses burning. The provocative style became popular amongst feuding New York City gangs. All right, so here you see the correlation or the link between or the connection between so-called burning and rocking. And what you're going to discover basically is the same thing. All right. So, needless to say, I have evidence that Charlie Rock denies that these are his words, or at least his words were taken out of context. Let me explain. All right, now this clip is taken from the Culture channel, formerly Michael Wayne TV. And you're going to hear the host talk about this article and what Charlie Rock had to say about it. Now, I'm willing to believe what this brother is saying. Why? Because he always had access to Charlie Rock. So if Charlie Rock denies saying this, I'm willing to believe it. Now, if Cologne has an issue with this explanation, then what he needs to do is contact Charlie Rock and interview him yourself. So let me play that.
You know what the reply was? How you do crickets? We still waiting for that reply. Right. But that was the big issue.
Yeah, he's trying to point that out about 76 to 77, what you said.
Right.
But Rock said he officially supposedly had started in 77. I mean, that's like real insignificant and small. But look,
listen,
but one thing I want to say to that guy, right? Because I've seen him do it, right? Is an article that he refers to with Charlie Rock talking. Charlie Rock said that's a mix-up of his words. You know, whatever article you using to say that top rocking or whatever the Latinos were doing in the 60s led to b-boying, and I've seen you refer to that. That's a false article. Charlie Rock did not say that. They mixed his words around to make it look like that.
Exactly.
Which is...
But listen.
All right, enough said. You heard it from the horse's mouth. He believes it's a lie. His words taken out of context. So Cologne's whole premise for Puerto Rican rocking crews or rock dancers is based off misleading information. All right, now I want to take you guys back to an interview that he did with a b-boy historian, Pluto 7, who he invited on his channel to talk about the history. And he asked Pluto 7 about these 69 rockers. And what he was trying, at least he was hoping that Pluto 7 would say that, yes, these Latino rockers were first. Let me get that video. Now, actually, I don't have a video. I don't have that particular video, but I do have an audio clip from a video I did some months ago. Now, this is Pluto 7 that he invited on his platform to talk about b-boy history. So here's the question that he posed to Dr. Cologne.
That's good. So, again, who was first? Black b-boys, Puerto Rican b-boys, or both? Based around Charlie Rock's information, Puerto Ricans were already up rocking or doing that rock dance in 69. Tell us what you uncovered.
All right, so that's the question that he asked. All right, so now I'm going to play a next clip, audio clip, where he's talking about Sasa and Trixie as their place in b-boy history. And now he's going to follow up and answer that question about what led to rocking. Okay, let's play that.
A proper title would be, precursors to b-boy or the Godfathers. I would say it would probably be Bernie. Because I heard that. And yes, that. Bernie. But, Bernie was still prevalent all the way up until, all the way up until now. Bernie, the aspects of Bernie, that's what connects them. The aspects of Bernie within the dance. People is still burn.
All right.
B-boy kind of, took what, the outlaw styles and all that stuff, and they added their own thing, Bernie turned into top rock. Yeah.
There you go. So Bernie turned into top rock. So Bernie came first. Or, the brothers invented all of this stuff. Puerto Ricans picked it up, gave it a different name, and followed suit. Now, what happened, in my opinion, this is what happened. Black people are so used to creating new dances, right? And so they'll create a dance, they'll move on. Puerto Ricans pick it up, they stick with it. Their numbers grow within that dance. right? And then the numbers, or then you start to know the dances by the people who are doing it. So if the Puerto Ricans continue to do it and their numbers grow, then you associate that dance with them. But in actuality, it was us who invented the dance and put it aside for newer dances. That has been the history of foundational Black Americans since we've been here. We are so damn creative that we'll create a dance Monday and create another one on Tuesday. So this explains why this so-called rocking dance is associated mostly with Puerto Ricans, but in fact, they didn't create it. All right, now we're going to focus on somebody that Cologne admires. He actually had him on his platform, Dancing Doug, who apparently is Puerto Rican and Black. So he has no axe to grind. So he's going to talk about where the up rock comes from. All right, let's play a little bit of that. Let me get this, press this button here.
Different what's going down today. And you say you guys danced before rocking the parties already. Then, how would you describe the style of 1973 or even earlier than that?
It was a lot more of the dancing too, because there was a thing called burning people, which they still do now. You see the guys when they little dance, they jump up there, when they crash their face and walk, whatever. That came from the burn style, you know. So you can see the evolution of the dance when, say, 75, 76, when TBB comes in, and they were rocking crew. Like I never heard the expression up rock, top rock. I never even heard that until I started doing the documentary. Because we didn't call it. We just said going off. He's going off. He's going off. Going off. That's the name of the documentary. Going off. That's what we did. Keep going off. Going off. And even when you talk with guys like Adam, started TV, he was talking about how he would do the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That would be his thing. He'd start getting to go with the fix and go on the ground and start, yeah, whatever. You had to have your own signature move. Frankenstein, James Bond. James Bond would like do the robot, walk up to you, push back and fall on the ground, slide back to the ground, take up a sneaker, dial in a sneaker, like he would get smart. So I'm talking to a sneaker, then get up and pop you in the head with it, That was just how it was. It was some kind of crazy stuff, but that's what the Herc's party was. Something wild. I had a sombrero. I called it sombrero on. Like they dance around with sombrero, and then fall down and do my little break and everything. But it was fun dancing. There was a lot more fun to it. It just wasn't straight compete. I break, you break, power move. It was style. You had to be funny too. You had to make something kind of like entertaining. It was entertainment more. I think more so of dancing entertainment, as opposed to just saying my power move is better than your power.
Now I don't know if you caught that. He basically said what the Puerto Ricans were doing, up rocking, he called that going off. So basically it was the same thing. And even when he talked about the brother from TBB, they were doing aspects of burning. So that proves it was pretty much the same thing. They just called it by a different name. All right, so let's do this. Now I want to play some of the pioneers, the so-called quote-unquote Puerto Rican pioneers of up rocking and their influences. Let me say from the start, it's my position that these Puerto Rican pioneers were heavily influenced by foundational Black American culture. So anytime they mention their influences, I'm going to hit a bell instead of me interjecting, so that guys, you can listen and be able to determine that this is in fact foundational Black American influence. All right, let's get it going. And let's start it here.
Love dancing?
Yeah. So everybody danced in my house. It was more salsa, right? Merengue, cha-cha. And I dug it, and it was in my DNA. I did it, but I liked what the brothers were doing down the block a lot more.
And so, like, coming out of your house and just existing in your neighborhood, what did you see from those brothers down the block that
attracted me? It was the groove, right? So, we're talking about 67, 68, 69, right? So, you at that time you there was always a new dance. Like when a song came out, there was a dance that went to the song.
Okay.
So like as far back as I could remember. So even in my house, right? It was salsa, but the Hispanic community came up with an English version of salsa, which they called the Latin boogaloo. So that's the first like American way of dancing for me, right? So the Latin boogaloo, the first dance I learned was called the African twist, right? So and that was a song by Eddie Palmieri. All right. So then after that, I mean, I was a good dancer. I could move. So everywhere I went, they, come on, Pop, get down. Right. So my nickname is Papo. That's what they called me on the street. So I remember the first dance I learned was the Tighten Up. Archie Bell and the Drells. Right. There was the Tighten Up. I remember the Mother Popcorn. Right. The Mother Popcorn, James Brown. There was a dance called the Mother Popcorn. That's where all my groove came from.
And who was making these dances up? Were they just being created out of fun from the community?
Yeah, from the community. Okay. Yeah. Every time a song came out, it made your body do something different. And I don't know who was creating the dances, but they showed up in my house. Okay. See, the other thing that's important for me, so when my father was murdered, intently, because I loved to dance. So that's where I learned how to first dance, really with the groove. That's where my groove came from. So that's when the Tighten Up. The Mother Popcorn was probably the main dance for me because that had like a flavor that I use today.
Yeah, that's from a James Brown song. It has
James
that flavor.
Brown, bro. That's right. So and then we had the Good Foot, right? The song Good Foot. There was a dance called the Good Foot. You remember Scorpio?
Yeah.
There was a dance called the Scorpio. ABC, the song, Michael Jackson. Yeah. We had a song, ABC. I still do it. I call it the Melrose Funk right now.
Where it come from that you're like, the fact that you have Puerto Rican families like me. I'm Dominican, but it's kind of the same. Puerto Rico, Cuba, we all Taínos ancestors. Yeah. But what made you lean more on the funk and the breaks and all that instead of like aiming more at the that typical Puerto Rican type of thing that you're listening to, because you got your ancestors there are playing the salsa. You play some disco funk, they'll look at you like, what are you doing? So what made you lean that way?
Well, because you watch TV shows and you're watching Soul Train and all these American Bandstand and all these shows, the Jackson 5 and all these Temptations and the Four Tops. And in school, when you're in school, that's what the music was. The funk and soul, disco.
Doing do-do-do-dum-dum-dum. He go, what? Do-do-dum-dum-do-do-do-do-dum. Huh. Now wait. I don't know who James Brown is. Michael Jackson do that shit too. Now that's another thing, okay? So after a lot of that shit growing up at that time, there was, the Jackson 5s, there was Soul Train, and all of that is what I'm absorbing, okay? And I'm watching all of that. And as that's happening, I'm growing up and I'm already starting to see some people dance. Now I would go to my house into the basement and I would put the song on. I would start with my first song. One is, can you just introduce yourself? How you doing anyway? My name is Ink 76, FMD, man, Brooklyn, New York, BAD Incorporated. Can you give them a little bit of experience about when you first saw rock, what they call it breakdancing, and what crew did you roll with after you saw it, after you started getting involved with it? What crew did you go with? Well, in the beginning, it wasn't called rocking. It was called the funk dance, because at one time they used to play the funk music, like the James Brown and all that, and a lot of guys used to chill out. I used to watch out, and I used to say, dang, what that guy's doing? He's
really became a street style dance in the discos. They call them discotheques. And that was like in the late, from 71 on. So before that, though, they used to do like just they had dances on the street that they would create that went to the songs. Mother Popcorn was probably the biggest one, the most famous song, and that's when it was all about groove. It was funky and it was groovy. So my guess is that they took those steps and they started to add more. And
and then it started to become rock. Anyone that was good, whether you were in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, you went downtown Manhattan to the discos there to show off your stuff.
See, I don't know about you, but there's no question in my mind where it comes from, where rocking comes from. You heard it from the pioneers, the so-called Puerto Rican pioneers. You heard their influences. It's come from foundational Black American culture. Like everything else, we are American culture. So, Cologne, another L, brother. You got another L. Rocking is foundational Black American as well. All right, so that's enough for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, please share it. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'll come back with another one very shortly. Peace out.